and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you getting into my paycheck to paycheck budget. I need to close out paycheck 1 and set up paycheck 2 so that we know where our numbers stand and what boundaries we need to stay in with our spending. It's December, it's Christmas time. We have to know these numbers. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. I do monthly budgets, weekly check-ins, paycheck to paycheck budgets, and they all flow one after the other into whenever my husband gets paid and things like that, and when transactions happen, so you can kind of see a nice flow from each of the trackers. I love tracking because it tells me the information I need and want to know and helps me make decisions for the future, and I love it. I've been doing this since 2019 this way, and I am so happy I got into this. It has saved us so much money, and we've done so good with just using cash and what we have, and barely have to pay interest except for the mortgage on the house, which is, it's a lot, but it could be a lot worse because I could have a maxed out credit card like I used to have and pay $250 a month every month of interest on that credit card, which I never have to do anymore. I have not paid interest in a while. As I was saying while I was getting a phone call, so if this is choppy, I'm sorry. I haven't paid interest in, I think, since 2020. Sometime in 2020, because that's when we became consumer debt free. And we've pretty much stayed that way. I don't feel like I can say that right now because I do have a $2,000 on my credit card that I do owe, and it's the only consumer debt that I have. And I'm working on how to take care of it and how to pay it off a little bit at a time. So it does take me back and remind me the stress, the pain, the weight of having debt and getting it paid off as quickly as possible. I do feel that way, and I think it's a good thing to feel that way, especially during the holiday season, so you don't overspend, so you can make wise decisions with your money and take care of your family and things like that. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and dive into the paycheck to paycheck budget. I just kind of ran through the numbers real quick before I got on here, so it looks like it's going to run smoothly, and I'm happy about that. We're going to focus on paycheck 1, and we're going to close that out first. Okay, so the first thing we have is the income. And I had to double check the numbers, and I may have missed a penny at the beginning of the month when I paid the credit card for last month and started the new month here. I may have had a penny left over from November that stayed in the account for December, and that's fine. I just made the adjustment here and put it under the other because really no extra money came in this time period this month. So let's go ahead and total up the income section for paycheck 1. We had 4 streams of income that came in, and I have their actuals right here. So we have $1,898.12, which is the military retirement. That will be changing going into January. I think there's a 3% increase over the government and military retirement checks and things like this. I did have a question recently how this was based. So when my husband retired in 2017, he had the option of taking the high 3 in his military retirement career, which is the 3 highest paying years he had during his active duty time. And that is how they based his retirement check. Now, after, as we were leaving the military in 2017, they had already started a blended version. We are not part of that blended version. If you're in the military or retiring or about to retire, I do not understand how that works. Part of it was like a 401k or whatever, and then part of it was something like this. It's a hybrid kind of thing. I have no idea. Anyways, I remember reading about it and not understanding it, so I really couldn't explain it. If you are military or about to retire, please consult with someone that family readiness group or experts that they bring into some of those meetings and stuff like that, or go to, I forgot what it was called on base. and we were Navy, so it may be called something different for you. Anyways, I can't remember what it was called, but find your resources and find somebody that can clearly explain how the program works, and you can invest into it well to get the best outcome going forward and things like that. So highly recommend you doing that. But my husband retired as a first class petty officer. That's an E6, and 20 years of service and 20 continuous years of service, and that is what we get. Part of what you don't see here is we pay into a spousal benefit, and that benefit, and it's like 360 months. It's a really long time we have to pay into it. But if my husband passes away before I do, I can get half of his military retirement after, or 55%, I think is what it is. And I will still get those benefits after he passes. The VA disability, I do not get any of that. That goes away because it's his personal disability and what he went through physically being compensated by the military. So that's about all I can say about that. But that was a great question, and thank you for asking that question. If you have questions about any of these income streams, just let me know. I'll be glad to explain it in the comments. VA disability, $2,428.91, and this is 90%, not 100, 90% disability. So there's factors that go into how they calculate that. Again, you would have to talk to the VA when you're retiring and how that works. It actually took us up to a year before they started paying us, so it's a process. Just keep working at it, making the phone calls, doing the right things, and eventually you'll get compensated. In fact, that whole year that we weren't compensated that he was supposed to be, because the process took so long, they gave us a lump sum for the previous year and then did this monthly installment after that, which is exactly how we paid off our credit card this last time, and kept it paid off for the most part. So yeah, it was the same amount of our maxed out credit card. It's so crazy to think it's been so long. All right, next we have my son's rent. Yes, he does pay rent. He gets what we call SSI, and I'll just go ahead and explain all these things. Yes, he has to pay rent to show that he's the money that he gets from SSI is to contribute to his living expenses. So in order for him to prove that, he has to pay rent. And then we take his money for rent and it just kind of goes into one pot, and then we apply it. Just it's like it gets applied to part of the mortgage, part of the utilities, part of the groceries, part of, whatever, for him to live here at home. He does keep part of it. He can spend it on recreational items. He likes to buy video games, or sometimes he likes to go shopping. He loves shoes, so he'll buy a pair of Jordans every once in a while, things like that. And a lot of times we'll save up some of his money and go get autographs at like a local con or something like that, and we enjoy that. So we get 803, he gets the rest. I do add the pennies of dividends from our bank account that get thrown in there just to keep the number accurate. So it's 3 cents this month because we don't keep a lot in there and it's so low, it doesn't matter. Anyways, that's just for accuracy tracking. And then my husband's salary check, I'm estimating $14.12, and we got $14.40. So let's add that. So it's only a little bit more than what we planned in the budget, which is nice. It was a little bit more. Did I add the 1 cent? I didn't add the 1 cent. Plus 0.01. Again, I think I didn't realize I left a penny in the account and I didn't have the number right in the bank account because I wasn't planning to put any money from November into December. But apparently a penny stayed behind and I just didn't even notice. So $6,544.47. All right, that is paycheck one. 80% of our income comes into paycheck one. Next, we're moving on to all the bills. I did do a little bit something different. I actually forgot a bill that was supposed to come out, and that was Hulu. And I wrote it here under this side. And then I decided to pay my sinking funds into the savings account early for this month instead of on the 15th, which I normally do it that way. I decided to do it on the first of the early in the month, and I went ahead and put it here because my savings account was like at $600 with all those items in it, and I needed to bring it back up and true it up to this month early. It made me feel more comfortable to have more money in there. So I went ahead and put that money in there, and I wrote that there. So let's go ahead and look at what fixed expenses actually happened. Not much changed except for the water bill was $8 more. And then Dash Pass I canceled. And I only canceled because one of the restaurants, Papa John's, if you see my weekly check-in, you know every Friday that's ordered. And they just don't have it on the Dash Pass or on DoorDash anymore. So I canceled it. And if it ever comes back, I might consider the annual thing to save money, but that's the only thing I really wanted to make sure we used it for. So I put $0 there, but you know, with that $8, it kind of cancels each other out just a little bit. And then I did notice our Geico went down 4 pennies and everything else stayed the same. So let's total these numbers up. All right, so for the fixed expenses that I have over here, $3,549.06. I'm checking my notes as I'm writing here, and that is accurate. So yay, I did my math right. Over here, we have mostly variable expenses, except for the last two where I forgot a bill, and then I added something a savings transfer I was going to do anyway, but did it early. Grocery household. We spent this month, and if you go back to my weekly check-in and you take grocery household, what we spent on week 1 and week 2, and total that up, that's what these numbers are. And I can show you really quick what that looks like, but for the most part, I'm just going to write it down. But if I go back here and take the $266.93 plus the $531.37, that gives me $798.30, and that is what we spent for grocery household. And so you do that with both weeks all the way down for each category, and that's how I get the number here for my actual spending here in my Paycheck 1 time period. So let's write this number down. I'm going to go ahead and finish writing the rest of the numbers, and we'll come back and talk about them and total them. Okay, so I have all that written down, and now we're going to go through and add these up. So grocery household, we spent almost every penny that I had planned for it. So we were under by, what, like $1 or something? It wasn't much. Next, we have restaurants. I went over by $4.52. That will be taken care of by Paycheck 2. All I got to do is reduce what I planned for Paycheck 2 by that amount and for what I planned for the month, and we still have money for restaurants for the rest of the month. Miscellaneous, we spent double. For the entire month, I gave myself $300. As you can see, I'm $24.06 over that. So I have no miscellaneous money. We just spend it all, and we still got lots of the month left. Yeah, so I'm going to have to be very careful and actually use other categories to pay for miscellaneous items throughout the month, and I'll probably mostly come out of grocery household or one of the other copay or gas. I'm not sure which. So we'll see how it works out in the end of the month. Hopefully I can stay within budget. If not, I'm going to have to figure something out. I can't keep adding to any debt or consumer debt, have this go further into the new year. So that's definitely weighing on my mind a bit there. but I think it'll be okay. I have $125 set aside for gasoline, and we only did one fill up, and it was less than normal. Normally, when I go get gas, it's like $60 to $65, and it was cheaper gas that day. And I went to the same gas station I go every time. So yeah, I don't know. I guess gas prices were low that day, and I caught it on a good day. Copay, I didn't hardly spend anything. I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment to charge, and that'll be in Paycheck 2, and then other prescriptions for the rest of the month. I usually have money left over in this. And then we have obviously the Hulu I forgot to put over here, and then sinking funds I brought here instead of Paycheck 1. So let's total this up. Okay, so that brings us to $1,994.65. All right, now in order to come up with the actual numbers, I am going to take our income that actually happened, $6,544.47, minus the $3,549.06, and minus the $1,994.65. And that gives me $1,000.76, which is good because I need a good amount of money to balance forward into the Paycheck 2 time period to cover all the expenses for spending. And the paycheck that comes up in Paycheck 2 also covers spending and the bills. So that all together gives us enough money to get through the rest of the month. And that is why this is important to me, because we get so much of our income at the beginning of the month. I have to make sure it stretches to the end of the month. If not, we're in trouble. And the last thing I want is to be in trouble for not tracking our spending properly and what bills were paid and all the things. And I want to make sure we have enough money in the checking account to keep going month to month. So I definitely want to make sure I pay attention to this. So I do know that we're balancing forward to Paycheck 2. Now we're going to set this up. That 1,000. It's hard to write when your notebook is full of stickers and it wants to bow. And when you get to the end, it's so crazy. But my notebook is thick. Okay, 1,000. And it would have been a lot thicker if I did both months with stickers. That would have been worse, I think, because the coil is not quite big enough to hold it. $1,000.76. Now, I do know the salary my husband's going to get. I estimate at the beginning of the month $1,412, but because I know what it is right now, I'm going to put the actual, so they're not going to change. Here it's $1,413.55, so that is good. It's just above what I was hoping. And any other income, refunds, anything like that, I can put there. This month I don't really see anything coming in, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So I'm just going to put these actuals over here as well, so I don't have to write them later. And salary. I'm going to leave this actual blank until I know for sure these match. So I just put check marks, and there we go. So I already have down what bills need to come out and what expenses we have, which are the same categories every month. So the first thing we have is tithe. We are tithing to our church, $168.18. AT&T, that went up a little bit from what I thought it was going to be at the beginning of the month, and that is $286. It was like 28 cents more or something like that. $286.09. It was $285.81. So whatever that difference is the amount it went up. I'd have to go back and figure out what little fee transaction changed or whatever. I don't know, because we have unlimited text and data, so really none of that stuff should have affected it. with our family. And it could be a tax thing too, Vivint is our home security system. Just a quick little reminder, if you have not changed your batteries in your smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors, please do. I mentioned this in my weekly check-in. Vivint is my home security system. The battery was dying in one of the smoke detectors, so we are getting batteries for that. And we are going to change all the batteries in all the detectors in the house. Ours are connected through our Vivint home security system, so if there's ever anything going off while we are gone, the police and fire department can come out, and if the house is on fire, they can put it out. So anyways, $65.82 is the monitoring service for that, and we own all the equipment. I just need to change batteries, and it's a good time to do it this time of year. Life Insurance 1, which covers me, my husband, and my youngest son. He will age out at age 25, and he is 20 years old right now. So 87.56. And then Life Insurance 2, I took out a policy for my oldest son that aged out. $33.16 is what I have for him. Next we have electric. Our actual electric this month was $140.17. I expect that to go up for next month just because we've been running the heat a lot more, and we use the fireplace like in the morning. We have a propane fireplace and we use it in the evening, but when we're sleeping and it's like 10 degrees out, it's going to run a lot at night. So luckily everything's working well, as it should, and I'm happy about that, and just expecting a higher electric bill next month. Now I don't do the, what do they call it, where they can even out for an entire month or entire year, and you just pay it every month. I pay whatever it is every month. I've just always done it that way, and we've always been able to do it. So if I find I can't do it, then I might switch the other way. But for right now, I don't mind doing it this way. Next we have USCCA, which is my husband's bill, $39.17, and then my apple.com storage, $2.99, and that covers all those expenses. Now we're going to total that up real quick and find out the budgeting amount for the fixed expenses here. All right, we have $823.14 that are planned for the budget for these bills. All of these are auto drafted out of our account or out of our credit card, and then I just pay my credit card once a week for spending and any bills that go to the credit card. So these are things I know that are going to happen. These are variable, and they happen only when I swipe our credit card in order to pay for our spending, and then I pay it once a week. That I just realized I didn't total up here. I'll get to that in a second. That is what we're going to put down here as our budget. Before I do that, I want to total this up really quick. Okay, so our income, what we balanced forward and what it was added as income, $2,414.31. That is what we're working with for Paycheck 2 time period. Most of our spending is going to be here because I didn't bring over sinking funds during this time period. I've already taken care of that. So this is normally higher, but okay, my camera cut off. I don't know what I was saying, but here we are. It's time to put down the numbers for the variable expenses. And basically it's whatever cash I had left over from spending from Paycheck 1 time period. I always have the numbers here on my weekly check-in on where I'm starting. And then here the balance tells me what is left over. So this is where I'm getting my numbers on what's left over. I know one of them's negative, and then how much I have for the rest. And this has to last me for the rest of the month, which is 2.5, almost 3 weeks. So that is what we're working with here. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of copy those numbers down and be right back. Okay, I have all my numbers written down and ready to go. So I still have $801.70 for grocery household. I have $295.48 for restaurants. Let's go through the numbers as far as how much it is per week in case you didn't see the weekly check-in. 170 divided by 3. So I have $267 per week. So if I play my cards right and just get just what I need and try not to make too many extra trips and buy in bulk, we should be good. 295.48 divided by 3 gives me $98 a week. There are 3 Fridays and Saturdays that are part of the month that's left, and we usually go out every weekend, so we really have to be strategic on how that's going to be. Obviously, I have no miscellaneous, so I have to be careful with that category if I'm going to borrow money from any of these others to cover any miscellaneous items we might need. Gasoline, we're really good in $196.71 divided by 3, $65.57 per week. I did plan on picking up my father-in-law this month, but he is not coming this month. He's coming after the new year, so we will take care of that then. And then copay was high because of doctor's appointments. I see a charge that's about to happen tomorrow, and so that's $25 plus the rest of the prescriptions for the month. I should have money left over in this category as well, so that looks good too. Let's total this up. Oh, and unbudgeted is always 0. I didn't mention that. So we have right now $1,406.05 left over to get us through to the end of December and into the new year. So I'm excited about that. I think that's going to work. I mean, if I divide that by 3, really we have $468 a week that we can work with. And that should be good between groceries, maybe a little eating out, and that should be fine. So I am happy with that. So the estimated balance forward is what I call it. I either balance forward it to the savings or balance forward it to the paying the credit card down and those extra charges that we have on there, or to the next month. It just depends. That is where the decision making comes at the end of paycheck 2. I'm going to go ahead and total these numbers. It's income minus expenses. $2,414.31 minus the $823.14 and minus the $1,406.05. All right, we are still sitting at $185.12, and that is a good buffer to sit in the checking account for this month. Unbudgeted, if I did spend out of that's where the money comes from, and I don't want to spend any of that. So hopefully we can hold on to it till the end of the month and maybe add it to the credit card and pay that down and things like that. So I'm excited about that. Looks like everything's good. It looks like we have enough for the month for spending, and yeah, everything looks good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.